So where does the CrossFit piece fit in? Like,
so basketball, I was actually lacing up my shoes, sitting on the couch, watching ESPN, going to go play basketball with some friends. And at this point, I was pretty consistent. And I seen Rich Froning, Jason Khalipa, doing clean and jerk ladders.
Legends.
I want to say it was like 2013.
God damn, those were the days, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a closet CrossFit fan of the athletes, not necessarily of what it was doing in the general community, because I was seeing the after effects of it, you know, as a professional, like people coming in just wrecked. But the athletes, right, that were applying the programming, the recovery, and obviously the discipline to get through it. Holy God. And you're talking about two guys, Froning, Khalipa. Khalipa sat in the seat that you're sitting in right now. And I got to tell you, I mean, everything you would expect right out of that guy, you know, in terms of work ethic, just focus, organization, you know, just in confidence. But watching those guys compete, and those clean ladders were definitely by far the most impressed. That's some of the most impressive shit you've ever seen. Like, you go watch some YouTube shit on that, you'll be like, whoa.
Yeah, I actually feel like it was like the universe, because to this day, that's one of my favorite like CrossFit games to watch, is like the clean and jerk ladder from, I believe, 2013.
Yeah, I'm gonna compare it to this. Like when you go back to like the Ronnie Coleman, in the bodybuilding world, and I was a fan of bodybuilders too. Just I thought they were impressive. But if you go back like Yates, when Yates and Coleman were on stage, you'll never have that. It also goes back to, you know, when Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, just some of the classic competitors there were on stage together. You're never going to repeat that. Like those are iconic times, and the Froning Khalipa days were those days.
Yeah,
for CrossFit.
It's kind of weird how that works, right? Because like Matt Frazier and Tia Claire Toomey probably are doing more impressive stuff than they've ever done. But for some reason, I'm just not excited about it in the same way.
It's
so
not
weird.
It's not like fresh. While it's amazing, and it's not to take away from either of those two athletes, because they are insanely gifted, insanely talented, but also insane work ethics and all those things. Yeah, it just doesn't.
Maybe it's just because the time period, there wasn't as much education. It was newer. It was fresher in terms of like the impact that it was making was so like crazy.
I feel like it's just more raw, right?
Yeah. No, nowadays, dude, like everything's 100% a science, and probably the same way with bodybuilding, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, like Arnold was like steaks here and there, and just like upper lower body every day, twice a day.
Yeah. Then we went through the freak period, right? Yeah. Where I was just like, these guys look like livestock, right? And now we're back to like
we're appreciating the
aesthetic, you know, that's there. There's different divisions. They really have it dialed in from a business perspective, from a science perspective, right? It's the diets, the training programs are smart, right?
Dude, I feel like if you just wanted to like, hey, I want to look like this, you could follow this nutrition program. And then this,
it's been vetted. It's been vetted. There are formulas there, and these guys have figured that out, and hats off to them. And then there's also the other side of it. There's the PED side of it, where maybe back in the days of the freaks, there's always been PEDs in the world of bodybuilding, but now the way they have this shit dialed in, the way they have compounded these things to be safer, more effective, give you more longevity, like they have. The whole thing has been dialed in. Anyway,
the bottom line is like with the PED thing is like, it's probably safer now than ever.
Oh, totally.
And it's going to always be around. You just got to know, like, look, dude, if you're going to be the best at anything, I've personally never taken PEDs, but like, if you do want to be the best at anything, whether it's Olympic weightlifting or whatever, powerlifting, dude,
it's probably part of the program, right?
It's going to be there. And there's nothing against it. You know what I mean?
Let the athlete set the standard. That's what I always say.
Yeah. I'm totally down
unless the
for
rule is that you can't do it, well, then don't do it.
That's kind of weird, though, because I feel like people say you can't do it, but then everybody does it, and then they don't say anything about it.
Oh, man, there's all kinds of that out there. Yeah. I mean, there's some great documentaries about that. There's some great articles, great biographies about all of that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think the athletes end up setting the standard because they figure the workarounds and they figure out how to do it. The point being, though, is you've got these icons, you know, that really, I mean, if you talk to any bodybuilder, there's not a person in the world that hasn't been to the gym that doesn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is, right? There's not a person that knows about CrossFit that doesn't know the two names you dropped, which were Fraser and Khalipa. They just you're not paying attention if you don't know them. I mean, they're hanging out. They're everywhere. Yeah. Anyhow, so they're inspired. So you're sitting on the couch watching.
Yeah, I'm on the couch, and actually, I was like, "What the fuck are these guys getting paid to be on ESPN to do like fucking floppy pull-ups and like clean and jerks?" I was like, "What am I even watching right now?" But then at the same time, I was like, "I'm gonna watch this for a minute," and I ended up being late to basketball because I was trying to figure out what the fuck I was watching. I had never seen it. I've seen strongman before. That's always been a thing.
That's
right?
different though, yeah.
But I just thought that's what it was with smaller people. I didn't know anything about fitness back then.
I think it's fair. I mean, people are trying to figure this shit out. Like, what is going on out there?
Yeah.
You saw these crazy physiques, these crazy feats of strength, endurance, power. But everybody's like, what in the hell? Like, where did this come from? Yeah.
Dude, it was so weird because that's when I seen it. And that's when it like kind of made me think about it. Like, what the fuck is this? But that didn't change my mind. Like I said, the universe is weird because like I seen that and I was like, this is fucking weird. And it made me think about it, but I didn't like go out and Google it. And then I had played basketball and I had some friends come over. We started lifting some dumbbells, things like that. And one of my friends just kept saying like, oh yeah, like we hung out with some CrossFitters. These guys are like insane. I'm like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? And then I started watching more CrossFit game stuff on YouTube just to see what the fuck it was. And I was like, wow, this is actually like really cool. You can see how fit you are across the board. And they always have like, they sell you on these stories, right? So-and-so went from this to this. And like, they're actually telling you, and it seems genuine. Like they're telling you like, I did CrossFit and this is like what I'm doing with my life now.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
And it did, and it has, and it still does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, a lot of everything that I'm doing comes down to like me doing CrossFit.
Look, a lot of the fitness industry owes a massive fucking thank you,
dude,
to the CrossFit community for what they did in terms of getting people fired up about getting healthier and getting more fit. The fitness industry, the fitness equipment industry owes,
dude, straight up
owes huge thank yous to the CrossFit community for what they did. Now, I have my druthers about, some of the programming and how it's applied. And that's another conversation for another time. However, you cannot take away the impact, the positive impact it has had on people's lives. It has had on the industry. And as a fitness industry pro, or as a person that's in the gym and coaching business, I have 1000% benefited by the efforts of the CrossFit and the CrossFit community. 1000%.
Yeah. Like, let's see. I would say that community, they haven't nailed.
Oh, we if there was one thing they did that, if there was one thing they did better than anybody, it was that. And the crazier part about it is what you said is that you were able to see it. And then they created this community online where you could compare, you could see people were starting to post on places like YouTube, right? Or Facebook, where you're like, hey, I'm posting my time. You could compete against the athlete that was across the world, in terms of time. You're measuring yourself against other people. So from a community perspective, they nailed that first. I mean, first and foremost, it was impressive. I mean, that community grew like
so it's weird because they have like two communities that they built, right? Even though it's like one CrossFit community, you have the people who never ever competed. Like me, I've never competed physically in anything. And I just found my body at like 24 years old. I had just like ran my first mile, like ran it instead of like trot, walk, right?
That's crazy too, to think about that. Because when I was a kid, like that was a mandatory PE requirement. You had to go run the mile.
Yeah, it was for me too, except I had teachers that didn't give a shit.
Yeah, man. Well, mine did. They were, well, I don't know if they cared, but you were running that fucking mile.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. They made you do it.
Well, you had to. Like you're doing it. You're getting the note home, or whatever the case. If you refuse, you didn't suit up, didn't come out, at least didn't try it. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, maybe you got shamed, into doing it. But you know what? You did it.